from the Energy Boutique with your energy forecast for Wednesday, June 22nd. So we got a lot of twos going on in the cosmos right now. Of course, the year 2022 is the year of 6 that we've been working on since the beginning of the year. And what does that mean? We've been looking to perfect our physical circumstances. Now, many of you would say, well, I'm not even close to doing that. My physical circumstances have been doing nothing but falling apart. Well, that is a good sign. We need things to fall apart in order for us to put them together in a better way. And when things fall apart, it means that we have to analyze why they fell apart, what this means for us, where we can rebuild, reorganize, restructure, what it is that we're being called towards, knowing that the things that are falling apart are asking us to step away. This being the 6th month, June, we have an extra 6 working with us here in this month, which is really pushing forward us to get our mental perspective down, where it is that we have to rebalance the scales, where it is we have to take a look at how it is that we're moving throughout our day-to-day lives with our tasks, our chores, our responsibilities, recognizing what it is that we feel in alignment with, what it is we feel unaligned with, and of course, kind of always working on that mental narrative, whether or not we're being loving and supporting and encouraging to ourselves, or whether or not we are our own worst enemy and just simply speaking fear, speaking doubts, speaking negativity into our lives. So on the 22nd, we have another master number working with us. We just came into the solstice energy. And here today, we also have Venus making a move out of her place of power in Taurus and moving into Gemini. If you haven't listened to that astro forecast, I'm going to recommend you do so that you know what we're dealing with for the next couple of weeks. So to say that today would be highly charged would be an understatement. Of course, we still have the moon in Aries, which is always a fire starter, especially emotionally. We're feeling a little bit edgy. We're feeling a little bit impatient. We have a boldness, a bravery, a courage that has come over us. We're really tapping into this warrior spirit. And this warrior spirit is so freaking done with some of the circumstances, some of the situations that we've had to endure in the past, that we just can't be patient at this particular time, waiting for the green light go ahead to start something new. Emotionally speaking, we're not looking back. We are very, very connected to the here and now and very excited for what it is that we should be doing now in order to set us up for our future. This Aries energy very connected to the ego identity. What do I want? What do I need? What do I desire and deserve? This is very me based, and that's okay, because of course we've given a lot of our power away in the past, and we're just learning how to gain that power back, stand in that power with confidence and clarity, and really, really decide of how much our own wants, needs, and desires we're still willing to put on the back burner. We have a lot of excitement, I will say, but just keep in mind that, the line between passion and anger is very, very thin. The line between love and hate is very, very thin. We tend to be excited, but we can move into aggression if that excitement is not channeled correctly or properly. We have a lot of different intense energies coming into the cosmos right now. Again, still very much in the solstice portal. We're just getting acquainted in this Cancer energy. And of course, with Venus on the move, we're going to need a little bit of time to acclimatize to that particular energy as well. There are 10 different aspects here today, and 9 of them involve the moon. So the moon in Aries is going to semi-square Venus. Venus is at her final degrees in Taurus, in her place of power. There's a lot of what I would want to say intensity around any kind of last degree of a sign before we have a planet moving from one energy into the next. This kind of drives home, if you will, the lessons that we should have learned while this particular planet was in this particular energy. If you need to go back and listen to the astro forecast of what Venus in Taurus was all about, then I definitely recommend you go do that. But to summarize, it's basically keeping us so freaking in the moment, so present in our physical bodies, in our physical circumstances, showing us where it is that we need emotional safety, security, stability, and mostly through where it is that we don't have that, pushing us to find the silver linings, to have the attitude of gratitude, to hold on to the joy, the happiness, the pleasure in the present moment, even though some of the circumstances in our present moment aren't as favorable as we would prefer. So the moon in Aries, semi-squaring, which is usually a tension point anyways, with Venus in her last degrees of Taurus energy is really kind of, I would say, triggering the frustration of us really wanting to get the party started, us really wanting to decide on certain paths, certain decisions, us really kind of frustrated with still not truly being able to clearly identify what it is that we want, need, and desire for ourselves. Kind of a little bit frustrated that we didn't see as many elements brought to life, birth, created in Venus's time in Taurus as we would have preferred. And of course, this tension point, we need tension point in order to recognize what it is that we're still not happy with, what it is that we're still kind of, desiring. And at this particular point, there's a lot to be desired. So we are going to have like this emotional disconnect, if you will, emotional confusion, because the pressure of being at the 29th degree wants us to have everything figured out already. And you know what? Rome was not built in a day. We're not going to figure everything out already, but that doesn't mean that we're not going to feel that urgency, if you will, to have all of the answers, to have the plan, to have everything in a line, in a row. It is just not the case. We do have to be a little bit more patient. And with the moon kind of all fired up in all the right and wrong ways, we could see this kind of anger and frustration just kind of fester up in our physical bodies, this irritation, if you will, that we're, not seeing the progress, the improvement as fast as we would like. The moon goes ahead and conjuncts, sits next to, bumps into Chiron, who is also in Aries energy. Now, this is both a good and a bad thing, and I'll give you both sides, and so you can be aware on how this energy is manifesting in your life, and of course, be consciously aware that you can override the system if you don't like how it's popping up in you. What I will say is the positives of this is that emotionally speaking, we're realizing where it is that we've grown. We're realizing where it is that we've cut the cord with certain aspects of our past. We're realizing where it is that we're doing a great job on rebuilding ourselves, reinventing ourselves, rebranding ourselves, and healing some of the wounds that we have definitely been illuminated to. The con side of this, the not so nice side, the shadow side of this, if you will, is to have all the wounds ripped wide open and take a bunch of salt and rub that salt in those wounds and continue to play the victim and continue to play the angry, the angry person that doesn't know who it is that they are without certain people, places, and things and titles and roles and responsibilities. We could look at this from a perspective to say, well, geez, if you're feeling this anger, if you're feeling this irritability, this frustration with not knowing who it is that you are and seeing all the things that have wounded you and being focused on that, well, that would be a good framework to create an intention, a direction on where it is that you want to get out of that funk, get out of that emotion, get out of that perspective. So if you find the shadow side of these energies manifesting, use that as a framework to build a direction, a path to get out of that funk. You are the creator, the director, the producer of your own life. If you don't like the script, change it. If you don't like the direction, change it. If you don't like how the energy is manifesting and the thoughts and the emotions that come up in you when these aspects take place, use it to override the narrative, override the situation, use it to shift your perspective. The moon is going to bump into Uranus in not the nicest way. Let me just tell you, this is likely a situation that's going to pop off in our external realms, likely coming from disruption in our plans, disruption in the way that we thought relationships were going. This particular disruption will kind of create a little bit of chaos in our emotions and in our mental plane. We do have to understand that the moon being in Aries is very hypersensitive. We get irritated very easily, especially when things aren't going our way, especially when, we're disappointed once again, especially when we just want to move forward and situations keep popping off that take us to a place where either we have to deal in the here and now, or situations from the past keep resurfacing, preventing us from actually cutting that aspect off and moving forward. What I can say to you is that sometimes we need our plans to fall apart. Sometimes we think, oh, why is this happening to me? Not realizing that that's the universe's way of saying either, hey, this ain't for you, stop pushing so hard for it to happen, or B, I'm going to get you there, but your way is the long way and you have to trust that there is an easier way, so trust my detour. So to immediately react to this in a negative way would be doing a disservice to yourself and kind of a rude thanks to the universe for trying to detour you in a better way. But at the same time, it never feels fun to just be in a situation, a cluster F, if you will, where things get shook up. Things aren't going the way that we wanted to. Things are just popping off and we don't have the emotional stability right now to deal with it in a manner that isn't going to lead us, first and foremost, to anger and frustration, high irritability, if you will. Now, things do get better because the moon is going to bump into the sun in a very positive way. This is actually the first time that the moon is interacting with the sun, who is now in Cancer energy, a water energy, an emotionally intuitive energy. So what do we have? We have the moon that rules over Cancer season. In Aries, a fire energy. You have the sun, which is a fire energy, in Cancer, a water energy. What we're trying to do right now is balance our emotions with our actions, our intuition with our passions and our desires. The moon in Aries wants to pop off, wants to get things done, wants to forge a new path, wants to move forward. The sun in Cancer, typically speaking, wants us to just take this pause and even more than that, reflect back. Now, I don't know about you, but after, Mercury's retrograde, after eclipse season, quite frankly, after this whole year and even further than that, this whole awakening, I am tired of looking back. But however, there's still a lot of lessons to be learned from the past, especially with the heavy hitting planets like Saturn and Pluto and soon to be Neptune and soon to be Uranus, all in a retrograde. There is reflection. There is a lot of wisdom and resources from our past that we have to reflect upon in order to bring it into this present moment and integrate it into our future. The moon kind of bumping into the sun this way. Again, as we've been exploring, anytime that the moon and the sun, regardless of what energy that they're in, bump into one another, this is almost like an illumination of the past, our past self, the qualities and characteristics that we embodied in the past, where it got us, versus the here and now, the future, what it is we have to embody, what it is that we have to learn now in order to disconnect from the old topics and themes from the past. Lucky for us, this is a beautiful energy, the way that they're interacting with one another. And at this particular point in time, this could definitely show us where it is that we have to be a little bit more bossed up to do what is right for us, to protect ourselves emotionally, to do what is right for our home, our family unit, to process the past in a positive way so that we can use our past experiences as inspiration and motivation to continue to fuel the fire for us to move forward. Now, the moon is going to conjunct, sit next to, bump into Mars, who is in Aries as well, its place of power. Now, Mars rules over Aries, so we have a lot of fire brewing. And again, I'll give you two scenarios. The best and healthiest way that we could have this energy manifest is that we are bossing up. We have more courage now to fight whatever fights that we're in. We are aggressive in all the right ways. We're ready to be determined and inspired and motivated to go after what it is that we want. We're ready to initiate, to begin a brand new chapter, a brand new path, a brand new direction. That's the positives. We can be fired up in all the right ways, excited, determined, passionate, all of those beautiful things. Or we can be irritated and angry and frustrated and dramatic and throw a toddler tantrum and just create a dramatic mess for ourselves. Whiny, complaining mess for ourselves. Now, I hope that we all choose, the positive qualities of what this energy can give us. But bottom line, we're making moves. Now, whether we're making a healthy, encouraging, supporting move moving forward, or whether we're making a move that is going to totally just put us in a shit show that we're going to have to clean up later, that remains to be seen. But Mars rules over our physical energy, our actions, how we aggress and pursue what it is that we want for ourselves. And emotionally speaking, the moon is all fired up. Now, fired up in a positive way so that we do something good, or fired up in a negative way where we are destructive. That is up to you. Be consciously aware of how this energy is manifesting in you and nip it in the bud if it tends to kind of show you the shadow elements, the shadow side of what this energy can actually manifest as. So the moon is going to bump into the true node, and in such a way that likely from the earlier situation that popped off, that disrupted us, that really confused us, that, was kind of a wrench into our plans or a fork in the road that hopefully we accepted as a detour and as a good sign from the universe that there is a better way, instead of just being angry and irritated that things didn't go our way and we threw down and had a little bit of a toddler tantrum and created a little bit of a shit show. Either way, what we're learning now is what it is that we need to do from here. The true node is our soul's destiny. It's the path that we need to be on, the right path that we need to be on to actually reach our dreams, our visions, our goals, our mission, our purpose. Now, having situations pop off in a negative sense in our physical realm can teach us a lot. It can teach us who it is we're not effing with anymore, what it is that we're not dealing with anymore, what we will not continue to pour in, what we are absolutely done with. And in those circumstances, we say, you know what? I don't know where I'm going as far as moving in the future goes, but I sure as hell know where I'm not going back to. And that in itself is a step forward. Now, it doesn't always have to be negative. You can have a situation pop off, a negative situation pop off, and you can be excited because you're like, you know what? I was really torn. I was feeling hella emotional on what I should be doing there, but now I have a clear vision. I know where I stand. I know what my choices are, and I'm feeling pretty good. I am now getting the validation that I need to know what my next move is, what my next step forward is. And this is very much the scenario that's going to be popping off for us here with this energy. 8:35 p.m., Venus moves into Gemini energy. Again, please go listen to the astro forecast that I put out for this. If you haven't listened to the ascension forecast for the week, you should probably do that too, because we are going to be feeling some physical symptoms pop off due to the energy shifting. Gemini energy is a mental energy. It's an air energy. Things are going to get lighter. Things are going to be a little bit more playful with our social interactions, with our inner narrative, with what it is that we want, need, and desire. We are in a high experimentation phase. This is going to definitely bode well in our favor to bust out of the confines, the restrictions of our personal relationship dynamics that many of us realize now that we do not want, and make us a little bit more open-minded and open-hearted to explore the vicinity, the territory, new people, new places, new things, new ideas, new topics, new themes, outside of what we thought was possible for ourselves. So we are going to feel this shift in our heart space, in our head space. We are going to see this affect our physical realms, especially where social interactions are concerned. Now, the moon is going to semi-square Mercury. Mercury, of course, in Gemini, in its place of power, up to full speed at this point. We are in brand new territory as far as thoughts and ideas and choices and decisions and paths go. But this is a semi-square, which means there's a little bit of tension here, which means that our heart and our head are not on the same page. Mostly because our heart, the moon in Aries, just wants to see some action, just wants to move forward, doesn't really care about the consequences, just wants to make a move for the sake of making a move to get some excitement stirred up. Well, Mercury over here in Gemini is like, damn, we cannot do this. We have to think strategically here. Okay, it's not logical or practical to make a move just for the sake of making a move and waste some energy and create some fire that we don't need to put out later. We have to slow the roll. We have to think about this. We have to think about the long-term effects, the short-term effects. We have to think about the intention that we're taking action with. We have to think about this more. We have to find a grounded, agreeable point in making sense, using common sense with this, and get our heart and head on the same page before we go ahead and make a move. So obviously there's a little bit of a disagreement between our heart and our head here. I would say, to be honest with you, let your head lead, because logically and practically, we need to have a plan. We need to have a strategy. We can't just take action willy-nilly. This is not the time, the place, nor the year for that. And so the moon in Aries is going to have to calm its ass down and just be satisfied with knowing that we are actively working towards something new, but we have to do it in the correct way, in the correct manner. The moon sextiles Saturn. This is beautiful. A sextile is a great energy. Saturn, of course, the Lord of Karma, focused on systems, structures, foundations, especially with what it is that we want to be living in the future, so that we can break it down into the present moment, see what we have control over, and where it is we can start implementing the right kinds of elements in our day-to-day life in the here and now to start building this bridge that's going to get us from where it is that we're at to where it is that we desire to be. But keep in mind, Saturn is also retrograde, doing an inner reflection work on where it is that we've come from, where it is that we've been, the tough love life lessons that have been thrown at us, to kind of pick out the lessons, the silver linings, the moments of aha that we can bring into this present moment, so that we're not repeating systems, cycles, behaviors of the past. We're not having to go back to the beginning of specific life lessons. And what we're doing here is that we're lightening the load. You know, most of the time when Saturn's involved, there's a little bit of a negative Nancy vibe that comes with it, because the weight of the world, especially of our roles and responsibilities, our karmic commitments, if you will, weighs very heavily on our shoulders. This time, though, because the moon is in Aries, we don't really care about the past. We don't really care about the long term. We're just trying to make something of the here and now. This is a lighter vibe for us. And what it's doing is it's showing us where it is that we can be more open, more adaptable to change, where it is that we can identify what isn't fun, so that we can figure out how to make the roles and responsibilities that aren't fun a little bit lighter, a little bit more easier to actually deal with. We're going to wrap the day up with the moon making an aspect with Neptune. Not the nicest aspect, but reflecting in our here and now, reflecting over the day, reflecting over the situations that popped off. What we will kind of be sitting with is a reminder of our dreams, of our vision, of what it is that we're working for. We have to kind of lose ourselves, give ourselves permission to go into la la land, remind ourselves of what it is that we're actually fighting for here, so that we can continue to keep the inspiration, the motivation, the passion, the desire high in our emotional fields, so that we can continue to push ourselves through the obstacles, the challenges, the blocks that we're obviously going to continue to face until we actually are able to manifest some of these cornerstone foundational elements that our dreams and our visions will be born off of and will be built upon. But the moon being fired up in Aries always has a little bit of a chance to pop off in a negative way. And Neptune being in Pisces, the escape artist of the zodiac, tends to get overwhelmed very easily, hypersensitive, overstimulated very easily, has a tendency to want to disassociate, run and hide, want to numb. And what I will say is that hopefully, because this is a water element and the moon is in a fire element, that we're able to kind of calm our emotions down and keep them stable. But just be aware that we could go from one extreme to the other, just to find ourselves having to work very hard to come back to that happy medium. Just constantly be in check with yourself. Project yourself into the future, so that you can feel the peace and the harmony and the love and the satisfaction of living in the dream realm that you desire to manifest. And then pop yourself back into your present moment and just ask yourself, is there anything that I can be doing in the here and now to align with the vision and the dream that I'm looking to manifest? This is about control. This is about emotional and mental intelligence. This is about energetic vibes and realizing what it is that we need to be aligned with, and then popping back into our physical realms, recognizing where it is that we're not aligned with those things and where it is that we can reorganize, restructure our mindset, our emotions, our physical circumstances to get that much closer to where it is that we desire to be.